Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brendan Plays. This is Total Extreme Wrestling for our All Elite Wrestling Save. Week 1 of August, we're coming off the Fight for the Fallen pay-per-view, where we had one of the best shows we've had in the series. 85 rated, sold out, 21,000 in attendance, 87,000 buys for our minor show. It featured one hell of a main event, Bryan Danielson and Miro, 92 rated. We also had the Blackpool Combat Club, the Undisputed Elite, 88 rated as well. Two huge matches on what we weren't 100% sure was going to be a great card, but it ended up being a really, really great show. So that's where we're at right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming off Fight for the Fallen. Now we begin the build to All Out. Now, before we get there, one piece of news. We've got her, Renee Young, aka Renee Paquette. We've signed her to a stupid amount of money, $18,000 a month. She's going to be on every segment. She's going to have to be. If we're going to get any money out of her, we're going to get anything back from this contract. 18 grand a month for an interviewer. It's insane. Tony Schiavone, though, is on $18,000 per month as well. So we didn't sign that contract. That was already there when we started our save. To be fair, he has 66 pop, which is kind of insane. He did not start with 66 pop. I think he started like 40. So he's gone up a lot. So he does actually add quite a lot to interviews, which is, great. So I can understand that. Renee's got a little bit more work to do. She starts at 55, so she's got a bit more she needs to do before she's at that level, and she hasn't gained any so far since our save began. So, look, I think interviewers actually add quite a lot of value, and from what I've seen in real life, I think Renee is really, really good at what she does. So I think she'll be a good addition, and for us, I think, she comes in with 78 mic skills, 70 charisma, so that's enough to really drive up a segment for someone. And we don't have to overexpose Tony Schiavone. At the moment, I think I've kicked Schiavone off the interview, off the announce desk rather. So at the moment, he works Rampage, so he's only on the one show. And actually at Fight for the Fallen, I didn't even mention, but Excalibur was unavailable to work that show, so we didn't even have him available. So William Regal had to step in, probably why the commentary was better. So there you go. But ladies and gentlemen, our next show was already booked, so we're going to go ahead and show you the results. But before we get there, some storyline changes. Now, a lot of our storylines are going to continue on from Fight for the Fallen, so we won't be really adding too many more, but we won't be really needing to delete too many either. So we're kind of just sticking to what we're already doing. There will be a couple more that we have to change, and we'll get there in a second. But Jericho and Darby Allin, we've had 2 matches with those two already. I still think there's more to explore. Darby Allin getting 2 shock surprise wins over Jericho. So I think we might do a third and final match, and if we can drag it out to All Out and really build it and maybe give it a gimmick involved as well, I think that'd be the way to go. Christian Coalition, well, we haven't even had Samoa Joe versus Christian Cage yet. He's ran through the Private Party. He's gotten through Lance Archer. Now he's got to get through Christian Cage. So that's the next step in this feud. I think saving that for the pay-per-view would be a good decision as well. It would mean, though, we need to get Andrade out of the feud, unless we want to have Andrade as the overall goal for Samoa Joe. So he beats Christian Cage, then we do Samoa Joe and Andrade for the second time on pay-per-view. That could be where we lead towards, which would be a better match than probably what we'd have for Andrade instead. So we now transition to Divinity versus Thunderstorm for the Women's Tag Team Championships. We're going to do one last match between Brian Cage and Keith Lee, and then we're going to end that, and we're going to have to find a new opponent for Keith Lee for the TNT Championship. Wardlow's been the one we've been floating about. I'm not sure if I'm ready to have Keith Lee drop the belt yet. I'm not far away from maybe thinking about it though, and having Wardlow start his singles run as a heel would be interesting. Flying High versus Butcher Blade and Helico, we're going to continue that. Jade versus Soraya, that will be our match for All Out, so we're going to start that build officially. The one I'm not sure about is this one. Lucha Bros, Proud and Powerful, and FTR, the Tag Team Championships scene. Whilst we've got Proud and Powerful and Lucha Bros have split one apiece, I think a third match there would be worth doing. But what does FTR do? Do they kind of take themselves out of this feud and start a new one and let Lucha Bros and Proud and Powerful finish what they were doing? Because the triple threat match wasn't it. It didn't happen. It wasn't great. Whereas the Lucha Bros and Proud and Powerful, 85 rated. So that's definitely worth maybe thinking about doing again. Especially because I'm pretty sure they're one apiece. Proud and Powerful beat the Lucha Bros originally. Actually, no. Lucha Bros, they've had 3 matches. So Lucha Bros won the first one, Proud and Powerful won the second, and then there was a third one between Lucha Bros and Proud and Powerful. Okay, so that feud will be done. Not worth really going back to. So yeah, we'll need some new opponents for FTR. And I'm thinking about putting the Lucha Bros in the trios situation because the biggest trios match we can do now would be the Blackpool Combat Club versus Death Triangle. So that's probably what we may transition over to. Although, do I want to do that right away or do I want to keep that up my sleeve for a little bit? So that's kind of what I'm deciding if I want to do. I think maybe we do a number 1 contendership and involves some of the lower tier trios, and then we go and transition to Blackpool Combat Club versus maybe Death Triangle for the belts. Furthermore, Miro and Danielson, there's still more here. 92 for the match. Miro lost by our injury stoppage, so we're going to do more there. The only thing I'm thinking about is, do I do it at All Out? Or do I drag it on further? Maybe do it for Grand Slam instead? Or do I add someone else in, maybe as a replacement for Miro because he's injured in storyline, and maybe do a triple threat? You know, that's kind of what I'm weighing up. We've got 5 weeks of build, so I think that'd be in storyline and more than enough time for Miro to come back and return. So I think we may just do a straight one-on-one rematch at the pay-per-view. Natural Pros and us, the Arts family, still, you know, there's still a little bit there. There's not really doing that well in terms of storyline, but I think having Paul White maybe take some more losses would be ideal. One thing we're going to start brand new is Chris Statlander versus Superbad. My spelling is atrocious. Superbad, apparently. I think I spelt the butcher's name wrong up earlier as well. I cannot spell. But so there you go, Statlander and Superbad. So the idea being, you know, we're going to try and spotlight Superbad a little bit. I'm thinking maybe even giving Jamie Hayter a win over Chris Statlander, but keeping Statlander strong so she doesn't lose too much popularity. Because Jamie Hayter's a talent, she's pretty good. I think it'd be worth trying to get her a win and get her popularity up because it's really bad. So something just to boost her up. Middle of the card, Team Taz Best Friends. So Team Taz now have a trio. Let's use that, and let's use that against Best Friends, one of our better trios. So a good middle of card trios feud. We do, look, honestly, you know, you can hate the Trios Championship, and I kind of do. I'm not a huge fan of it, but we are giving it a red hot crack. Honestly, I really believe that. We've got, you know, this one, Natural Pros, us, family, Flying High, Butcher Blade, and Helico. We had the Trios Championship match, and if you want to count it, Christian Coalition, Samoa Joe, we've got 5 Trios feuds going right now. 5! We are trying to make this work, right? So I will give myself a pat on the back. In real life, the Trios Championship means nothing. It's dead. But hey, we are trying in our game to make it worth something. So we are doing our best. The Acclaimed, Cabana House, I just want to have Colt Cabana lose a few more times to the Acclaimed just to give them their popularity. And then I want to get rid of Colt Cabana. See you later. And hopefully that doesn't start an all-out brawl in our backstage locker room. And the Trios Championship, well, look, Bobby Fish, this is his last night. Now, originally I thought it was going to be at the pay-per-view, but turns out I had never edited his contract, so he's still got one more night. So why not do a rematch? It was 88 rated at the pay-per-view. Let's do a rematch. May as well do it, and we may as well do it here on Dynamite. So that's going to be our main event tonight. Trios Championship, the rematch. Last time we'll see the Undisputed Elite together. Maybe ever, at least in our save. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So that's all the new storylines we've got planned. Obviously, with the TNT Championship, we'll need a new one there, and we may pivot potentially to the World Championship. I'll have to decide what I want to do. I think at the moment, the best, still a very good match to do Miro and Danielson. If you get 92, you kind of want to do it again if you can. So, anyways, let's jump into this week's edition of Dynamite. And on the pre-show, Killian King and Red Velvet, 27 rated. Bringing in Killian King again for a one-night appearance just to have her lose and give Red Velvet a win. She hasn't had that many as of late. Next up on the main show, Bryan Danielson is out there talking about his win at the pay-per-view. basically saying, look, I won, but it doesn't really feel like a win because Miro was hurt. The match had to be stopped. Ken Anderson comes out and he demands a rematch from Miro, saying, look, he was hurt, he's going to get healthy, he'll be back, and when he's back, he wants his rematch. So 89 rated for that one. So we had Ken Anderson talking this segment, which probably brought it down, but it's good that we're now getting 89s with Ken Anderson involved. So that's a positive thing. Obviously, if you haven't seen the last few episodes, Ken Anderson is the manager of Miro now. So we've brought Ken Anderson in to try and be, well, essentially our AEW version of a Paul Heyman sort of thing. A guy who's a pretty good talker, managing the top tier talent and trying to really get him over in that way. So 89 for that one. Brian Cage and Keith Lee went one-on-one in a TNT Championship rematch. Keith Lee retains, beating Brian Cage. Really good match, 82 rated. So Keith Lee continues his string of really great TNT Championship matches. This is why it's hard to get the belt off him, because he's doing so well. Keith Lee 87, Brian Cage 63. I'll give Brian Cage his props. I really had nothing for him, and he's a guy, if I had a thought about putting my talent in Ring of Honor about a month ago, I would have done it, and we would never be seeing Brian Cage again. But I've given him a chance to show us what he can do, and he's had a really good feud with Keith Lee. Ethan Page was involved too. Originally, Brian Cage was not meant to be involved, but he performed that well where I kind of went, you know what? Cage deserves more here. So, we changed plans, we put him in there, and he has a nice match here in the end. So Keith Lee retains. Now, we need a new opponent for Keith. Next up, William Regal agrees for the Blackpool Combat Club to defend their championships only if it's the Undisputed Elite's last ever chance for them. So they're going to have to risk it all if they want a rematch. 69 plays into the whole Undisputed Elite being gone sort of situation. So there won't be a need for a trios rematch because there's only going to be 2 of them left. So I thought that was a pretty safe bet to do. 69 for that one. Colt Cabana, Max Caster, 58 for their match. Max picks up an easy win. Hopefully boost his pop. Samoa Joe says he's tired of waiting. He wants Christian Cage in a singles match. 84 for that one. Samoa Joe's at his best when he's got the microphone in hand, or microphone pointed at him in this case. 84 for this segment, lifting the Christian and Samoa Joe feud once again. Look, I've been hot and cold, I should say, on Samoa Joe. I thought he would come in red hot and be great for us, but that didn't happen. But he's been redeeming himself, and his promos have been good in ring. He had a good performance when he had some other guys to help shoulder the load a little bit for him in that tag team match. So maybe there's still value in Joe, but we have to be a little bit smarter in how we're going to use him. Obviously, a tag team might be the way to go. Now, I'm not a fan of War Joe. I don't think that's where we want to do what we want to do, but maybe pairing somebody with Samoa Joe wouldn't be the worst idea. Anyways, next up, we do this trios match. Butcher, Blade, and Helico team up to take on Flying High. 53 rated for this one. Best of the match was Matt Sydal, 60, Darius Martin, 55, Dante, 52. Never mind, I misread that. And Helico was the best in the match, 63. Well, the reason why we put Angelico with Butcher and Blade, it's a terrible pairing. I get that. It doesn't make any sense. But Angelico literally is doing nothing. So this is the only way he'll ever get on TV. And they needed a third man to form a trio. But his performances are good. He's actually pretty good in getting good in-ring performances. So he can lift the Butcher and Blade up who, are pretty mediocre. So it's really helping them get better results. And 53 rated for the match. Hey, that's a pretty good all-around result. Now, did I keep? Yes, I kept Matt Sydal strong. So we made sure that Matt Sydal wasn't going to lose any popularity coming out of this match. So this match technically could have been a little bit better, but 53, you'll always take that. We tried to have this one go all out as well. So we really wanted to push the pace, make these guys really do as much as they can. Boom, 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 12-minute match, get everything you can in. And I think it delivered. I'm pretty happy with that, 53. Next up, Team Taz interrupt Best Friends' promo and challenge them to a trios match. So we've got a new trio in Team Taz, Ricky Starks, Tony Nese, Josh Woods, the reincarnated version of Team Taz. Well, in this segment, they are interrupting Best Friends and basically setting up a match here. So we're trying to get Team Taz involved in the trios situation, whereas Best Friends are right there. If you think about trios right now, Blackpool Combat Club, Death Triangle, then probably Best Friends. You could argue Christian Coalition, but we haven't really got them established in the trios situation yet. So Best Friends are right up there. So Team Taz definitely have that ability to be maybe that number 4 team, or even leapfrog Best Friend to be number 3. So that's kind of what's on the line here. A really high position on the card. Paul White defeats Austin Gunn in 5 minutes. Yeah, look, the Natural Pros have had some L's, and I just didn't think it makes sense for Paul White to take a loss to Austin Gunn. As much as I want to put over the Gunn family, not going to happen. So Paul White picks up a win and just kind of, gives us a bit of a reminder, hey, the Natural Pros, they're still good, they're still competitive, and it's not going to be that easy for the Gunn family to beat them. So 48 for that one. Paul White, 52 in ring performance. Mind you, he's got 66 popularity, so he is abysmal. I can't even have a 5-minute match and him deliver. I don't think he'll ever be good. So we may as well just have him lose and lose and lose and get all that popularity off of him, put it on someone else, and let him retire, because that's all he's good for at this stage. Chris Statlander, Jamie Hayter, 55 rated match. I believe I did it as an eye candy, yes, and we kept Chris Statlander strong, so we made sure that she didn't hopefully lose any popularity, but we're trying to put over Jamie Hayter. I think it'd be better if Superbad had 3 strong members rather than 2 good ones and 1 really bad one in terms of popularity. So we're trying to get Jamie Hayter more on a level playing field, especially because I think long term Jamie Hayter is going to be better than all Penelope Ford and Ali. So she could end up being the star of the group. So we may as well try and make that happen, right? So that's what we're trying to do here. Is Chris Statlander takes a loss. Penelope Ford cost her the match, so it doesn't really hurt her too much. Next up, Madison Rayne is with Divinity, and Madison Rayne reassures Divinity that she's got to make sure that she's got a plan to make sure that Thunderstorm don't beat them. So Madison Rayne is loosely affiliated with Divinity at the moment, and I think the long-term plan maybe for Full Gear is to have Divinity versus, a team of Divinity with probably Jade versus a top team of babyfaces, like a bit of a faction sort of war. Madison Rayne, she's kind of got her own group and she's kind of using her power to dominate the women's division. And then we have a team of women who are opposing that and trying to take them down. That's what I'm kind of thinking. It's not going to be War Games, I don't think, but maybe an elimination tag match of some sorts. But the problem is, they've got to get over. If anyone's going to care about that match, they've got to get over, and I don't know if we're going to get them over. But that's at least what I want to get to at some point. That's my long-term plan for this whole situation, and hopefully we can get there and hopefully be good. But anyways, 59 for the promo. Good stuff. Wardlow gets a quick win over Takeshita for 65. Yeah, we're still building Wardlow, wanting to get him on TV, get him a win, just remind everyone how good he is. 72 from him, that's fine. Takeshita, 54. Look, I don't know if we're ready to pull the trigger on Wardlow yet. I don't want him to leave the Pinnacle. As much as I like Wardlow as a babyface, I just think him still being involved with the Pinnacle always keeps him relevant, always keeps him in the mix, and he's always got MJF to kind of fall back to and help him out. So, especially right now when he's still pretty green, still kind of getting there, it helps kind of mask some of those flaws. I think he on his own would be good, but I just think he'd be missing something. So whilst he's still getting there, keep him with the Pinnacle. Sting refuses to give Chris Jericho a rematch with Darby Allin. He says basically, look, you've already lost twice to him. He's already proven he's better than you, so why should you get a rematch? If you want a rematch, you got to earn it. Go and get some wins. Go and prove to me that you deserve another shot at Darby. So obviously that's going to piss Chris Jericho off. So we're loosely kind of affiliating Sting and Darby together here. They're not technically a thing in Our Save. Sting's like the GM in Our Save. Darby's just been on his own. Well, and then he joined House of Black. So Darby's kind of leaving the House of Black, doing his own thing at the moment. I don't know if I'm going to affiliate Sting and Darby. It just probably wouldn't make sense in Our Save because Sting's got the position of power. But, I think at least it's a nice tie-in to our game to have those two kind of affiliated for a little bit anyways. Alright, now for the big one. Our main event was even better than the pay-per-view match. For the last time, Undisputed Elite take on Blackpool Combat Club. Blackpool Combat Club pick up the win as Eddie Kingston pins Bobby Fish, and they retain the Trios Championship. First title defense for the Trios belt, and I don't think we're ever going to have a Trios match ever better than this. I'm calling it now. Not unless we do the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club. 92 rated. Wow. I mean, better than the pay-per-view match. Adam Cole 94, Moxley 90, the two best. Eddie Kingston 70 continues to impress me. That's seriously good numbers for Eddie. Claudio 80, which is great. Kyle 84, Bobby Fish solid 69. Well, Claudio's been a little underwhelming, but I think putting him in this trio, especially now Eddie's performing well, might be the best thing for this group because it's really working. You know, they're getting good numbers, getting good results, and obviously great dance partners with the Undisputed Elite. But now that they're gone, they're going to have to find someone else to work with. And I mean, Death Triangle versus Blackpool Combat Club, if we're getting 92s out of this, I can't see why we wouldn't get 90s out of Death Triangle Blackpool Combat Club. I really don't. I think it could just be as good. The only issue would be Adam Cole is performing at a seriously high level, 94, and I don't think anyone in Death Triangle would get that number, but they'd certainly be right there with Kyle O'Reilly's 84 and definitely beat Bobby Fish's 69, so who's to say it wouldn't be just as good. So really good stuff, and this is a great way to kick off the Trios belts because now you've had two hugely amazing matches back to back. People are buzzing about the Trios Championships now. So it's got some intrigue, it's got some interest, and people are enjoying these belts. And we had an 82 rated show. We've only really had, we had two good matches on the card. 82 for the Keith Lee Brian Cage, and 92 for the main event, just nothing else in between. That's why the show was brought down just that little bit. Alright, we have AEW Dark for this week. Morrissey versus Ishii. 57, wow. Not bad from Morrissey. That's probably his best match so far. 52 from him, Ishii 59. We followed up with a promo, and yeah, probably his best promo. Anderson and Morrissey working together. 61 rated promo. Anderson was furious that Morrissey isn't getting his chances. So we at the pay-per-view at 5 for the Fallen, we said that Morrissey, you know, he wants an opponent for Dynamite. Well, he didn't get it. So I kind of forgot about it, but I'm kind of maybe transitioning into perhaps a story where Morrissey, you know, he's demanding opponents, demanding competition. He's not getting it. Maybe he starts to get a bit frustrated. Maybe he starts to take matters into his own hands. He starts to attack other people. Maybe set up a little mid-card program with somebody lower down the card. Next up, Jade Cargill and the Baddies defeat Sheeta and Shining Force for 66. Eye candy match, of course. Well, look, I'm going to start maybe transitioning Jade Cargill towards the baddies. We haven't done it yet. We've made the baddies, but we just haven't had Jade and them affiliated. So we might make them affiliated, and I might get rid of what was the portfolio, which was the group that we had, Jade, Stokely, and the Acclaimed. I think I might get the Acclaimed out of there, doing their own thing, and then have Jade kind of go with the baddies. I think the mixed group, it isn't really getting anyone anywhere. It's not really doing too much, and it's kind of run its course, I think. So I think it's time we get rid of that. Nonetheless, we move ahead, but Rio, she needs a new gimmick, and it is given a rating of adequate. So she'll have Underdog as her new gimmick. So her previous gimmick was pretty mediocre, so now she gets an adequate one, so a slight upgrade. So here we mentioned before the portfolio. So Stokely Hathaway's in the locker room and with the Acclaimed, and Cabanahausen come in the locker room, and they show Stokely Hathaway a voice recording of the Acclaimed, kind of trash talking Stokely, saying how, you know, he's not really doing anything for their careers, we don't really need him anymore, you know, he's, you know, maybe we don't trust him, just kind of like trash talking him a little bit. So Cabanahausen play that in front of Stokely, and Stokely is furious about it and fires the Acclaim from the group. So I wanted to find a way, instead of just having them disband, I wanted to at least have an angle or some sorts to explain why they're no longer a thing. So we did that here. 50 rated for that. And at least we included it in the Cabanahausen storyline. So at least we made some sort of reason and made it make sense to advance the storyline. Lance Archer defeating Preston for a 56 rated match. No chemistry between these two. We mentioned that we need an opponent for Keith Lee. Well, Lance Archer is available. I think he would be a great opponent for Keith. So we are thinking about maybe giving Lance a few wins just to get him some momentum, and then maybe make Lance versus Keith Lee at the next pay-per-view. Like I said, I still want Wardlow to get there, but I think Keith Lee has deserved maybe another couple of months of a run. I think he's having a really good time as the TNT champ, really making the belt mean something. So it might be a good thing just to keep the belt on him, and Lance Archer would be a good stopping point for Keith Lee, especially on a big pay-per-view. MJF hypes up Wardlow's future, 86 rated. So speaking of Wardlow, MJF is hyping him up, saying how good he is, how he deserves the title, things like that. So 86 for that one. Julia Hart loses to Marina Shafir, 23 rated match. Marina 42, Julia Hart 20. Look, Marina needs some wins. She's really going nowhere. She's kind of the weak link of her group, so giving her a win here. The boys from Ring of Honor get a chance to be on the main roster for a night, and they lose to Private Party. 59 rated match. Isaiah 70, Marquen 60, Brandon Tate 49, Brent Tate 41. So we got the boys from Ring of Honor. We've just recently signed them to there, and we decided, well, let's see what they can do. How good are they? Are they worth maybe thinking about bringing up to the main roster? 41-49 apiece. I don't think that's bad. I think that could be worth at least using them on a sporadic basis if we need an opponent. They could definitely come in and do a role. So we need to change the gimmick here for Brent, and he's now got a flamboyant gimmick rating of adequate. So his other gimmick was bad, so he needed a gimmick change ASAP. So that might help his performances. He was lacking behind Brandon, so if he was at 49 as well, they would be more than useful for this roster. So Private Party nonetheless get a win. Natural Pros comment on their frustrations with the Guns. So they're not happy with the way the Guns have been going about their business, and they kind of vent a little bit here. 54, so much better promo from these guys. Chris Statlander addresses her Dynamite loss to Jamie Hayter, 58 for the promo. Good stuff, actually. That's a solid promo. Main event was Mr. AEW Dark himself, Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky. Sammy Guevara 87, Scorpio 47 for a 72 overall match. Needed a good opponent for Sammy. Scorpio was right there available, so we decided to go with this match. Look, Sammy's out of the mix, but I don't want him doing nothing, so at least giving him some wins on Dark just to keep him doing something, keep him relevant in some sort of way. So, you know, if he can have the main event of Dark week after week and put up a great match all the time, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. And Scorpio Sky, well, he needs a new gimmick. He's got the Face of the Revolution gimmick, which is rated as being poor, so we're changing that to more of like an opportunist gimmick. And it's rated as poor as well. There we go. So we did not do very well with his gimmick change. I just don't think Scorpio could have a good gimmick if he wanted to. Nonetheless, 69 rated for the show. Well, we're not messing about for this edition of Rampage. Another big major championship match. Alright, before we get there though, our opening match, Chris Jericho, Brody King, 75 rated. Of course, Brody King affiliated with Darby Allin. I thought we'd tie that in here as Jericho needs some wins to get his rematch against Darby. So Jericho picks up the win, 75 rated match. Jericho, 68. My God, there is a problem, and Chris Jericho is rapidly declining in our game. It's not good. Brody King, 64 was decent. Yep, so Jericho's still hanging in there, but hey, the storyline brought it up to 75. We can take that as Jericho survives a 14-minute match. He's still okay. He didn't get too gassed, apparently. Post-match, Jericho taunts Darby Allin and continues to demand a rematch. 72. Next up, Bryan Danielson. He wants an opponent for tonight. Miro, he's not healthy. Danielson wants to fight. He didn't get to wrestle on Dynamite. He wants someone to step up and take him on tonight. Well, Kyle O'Reilly takes the challenge. O'Reilly basically saying, look, you know, we lost at Five of the Fallen. We lost on Dynamite. I'm tired of the Undisputed Elite losing to the Blackpool Combat Club. You want an opponent? Well, let that be me. So Kyle O'Reilly searching for some revenge for the Undisputed Elite on the Blackpool Combat Club. 83 for that segment. Good stuff. Next up, the boys get a chance to be on Rampage as well. They take on the Lucha Brothers. So I figured, you know, we've got them available. We might as well use them. Lucha Bros need a win. They need a win to get them back into probably the Trios Championship mix. But I thought, they took a loss at the pay-per-view. They had a couple losses of late, so let's give them another win to continue to build their momentum. And yeah, they had a nice solid match. 70 rated, Penta 82, Ray Phoenix 92, Brent and Brandon 43 apiece. So that's good signs that Brent and Brandon are back at a very similar sort of rating now that their gimmicks are similar in nature. So there we go. 70 rated is decent. Can't complain with that, especially with a Ring of Honor tag team. Developmental guys coming in. So you'll take that. Saraya addresses her physical health and whether she can compete to challenge for the women's championship. So Saraya wants to be in the mix. She wants a title shot, but Tony Schiavone's asking the question, Saraya, you haven't wrestled a match in years. Can you even do it? Are you even cleared? So Saraya sort of clearing that up a little bit, whether she can actually compete or not. 61, good promo and improved the storyline heat. So that's one of Saraya's better segments so far. We had the Blackpool Combat Club. They decide to basically welcome all challengers for their Trios Championships. They've beaten the Undisputed Elite. What's next? Who wants to step up? Feel free, come and take these titles. Anyone who wants them, come and get them. 83 rated for that. So Kingston, Claudio, Moxley involved in that one. And the main event, Bryan Danielson, yet again, another banger of a match against Kyle O'Reilly this time. Danielson 93, O'Reilly 71, 89 rated match. World Championship on the line. Danielson makes it his third defense of the championship. So I'm going in a different direction. With Kenny Omega, he only defended the championship a couple of times at best. So he really didn't have a lot of title defenses. So what I'm going to do with Danielson is he's going to, have a lot more championship defenses. And probably a lot of them on Rampage, just to spark some interest in Rampage. But the idea being he's going to work with, like for example, he's already wrestled Ricky Starks. Now he's wrestling Kyle O'Reilly. Maybe Jay Lethal. Maybe Darby Allin. Those guys in that middle to upper mid card that, we can really spotlight with a great match. They're never going to get a title shot at any other point. But a random one-off match where Danielson opens up a challenge, who wants it, come get it sort of thing, where these upper mid card guys can really shine and have an 89 rated match, for example, I think would be a good way to try and maybe boost up guys in the middle of the card, but also produce good quality. And this is the reason why Danielson's the champ. 93 performance from him, 89 rated match. He had a hell of a match with Miro. Follows it up here with another one here against Kyle O'Reilly. Danielson's on fire. He really is. And it's no surprise. He's the best wrestler in our company. And the only guy that can get close to him is maybe Kenny Omega, maybe Adam Cole. But those guys, Adam Cole could be one of the next challenges. Kenny Omega's unavailable. So Danielson's certainly holding down the fort really, really well. Overall, we get a 78 rated show, so despite the great main event, not enough quality elsewhere on the show, but still, 78 is all we need to get to where we need to be to grow our company in size, so I'm happy with that result. Okay, let's have a look at all the results for our shows this week and all the fallout. Carrie Hojo, so Carrie Sane, she's been working in the NWA, and she's got herself a new contract offer. Surprised that the WWE aren't looking to get her back. She was in the WWE at the start of the year. So, there you go. But not doing too much at the moment. Colt Cabana has gone from toned to average, so he's getting even more out of shape. Nice one, Colt. Keep it up, buddy. 1.2 TV rating for Rampage. 1.4 million viewers in total. Good stuff. Obviously, our subscription helping out a lot. A couple things I wanted to address. Kip Sabian's contract is up. He's got 35 pop. I don't think there's any value in Kip Sabian at all. Even as a tag team, we haven't really found a partner for him at all. We haven't really been able to find anything for Kip to do. The only time he's ever been relevant was when he did the Team UK match and teamed up with Park. So he's been in Ring of Honor for a while now. He's got 6 wins, 5 losses for the year. So, that's not a bad spot for him to be in. Down to Ring of Honor, kind of working there and just in purgatory. The other guy is Matt Sydal. Well, we've just found something for Matt Sydal to do. He's been kind of mentoring Dante and Darius Martin, so Top Flight. So he's found something to do, and he's kind of been involved in something. So there could be a bit more of a purpose for him. 39, so he's pretty old at this point. So what we might do is we might renew him and we might give him another 6 months and Just let him kind of stick around for a bit longer. He wants more merchandise. Well, Matt, look, if you sell merchandise to actually get that % back, you can have it, but I highly doubt you will. I'll have to kind of think about Kip Sabian. I don't know. We've just let Jake Hager go, for example, who just offers nothing. I wouldn't say Kip Sabian offers nothing because he's still 29. He could improve, but I don't know if he could really take that next step because I'm a little worried. Is he just going to be hogging up a space on the roster? But he's in Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor could probably use the talent. We might have a look at Ring of Honor. We mentioned that we've sent a few guys down there, one of them being Hangman Adam Page. So that was a big decision to actually send one of our biggest stars down there. Adam Page, I forgot that he competed last week, but he actually competed in the main event, which was a 59 rated. He performed at 75. And then this week, he was also in the main event. He had a 61 rated match with Kenta. He performed at 79, Kenta 53. So they've been using Adam Page pretty well. 2 main event matches, 2 wins. So we'll keep him down there for another few weeks just to kind of help out the product. Since he's been there, the show has gone from maybe 52, 50 to about 54, 55. So a slight improvement, very slight. The Hardys are there as well, and also Buddy Matthews. So far, the Hardys and Buddy Matthews I don't think have been used at all. So we'll have to wait and see how they fare. But it's good to see, a slight improvement for Ring of Honor, and I think it's something we have to keep an eye on and think about. They did lose Brody King. They didn't. Brody King left Ring of Honor, so he's now just a part of AEW. So that wasn't a decision that I made. I would have liked to have kept him there, but it was up to Ring of Honor, the company itself, I think, to re-sign him on their own accord. And Kenta, well, he's been there for a little bit, and his contract is about to expire. He's got 2 weeks left in Ring of Honor. So we signed him to Ring of Honor because he had no job elsewhere, so we figured why not. So, yeah. Just a couple things before we head off. Kyle O'Reilly, obviously the big main event match with Danielson. So he started the month about 66 pop. With that Danielson match, he moves up to 67. Hey, there you go. Slight improvement. Danielson currently averaging 81 for the year. 3 matches, 88 or higher in a row. Ricky Starks, 88, 92 with Miro, and 89 with O'Reilly. And funny enough, he actually had an 82 with Kenny Omega, which makes no sense at all. But yeah, there you go. So he's had 5 really high quality matches this year, 3 in a row for the World Championship in defenses. So very, very positive signs there for Bryan Danielson. I'm very excited to see how far he can go as our champion. So we'll have to think about a few other guys that can maybe work with him going forward. But very exciting. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, we're about a month away from our next pay-per-view, which of course is the big one, All Out. And so far, I'm feeling like we're going to have a pretty good show, especially with Bryan Danielson in the main event. You can't really go wrong, but hopefully we can build some other matches to get to that same sort of level, but we've got a fair bit of work to do. There's still quite a lot of build to go. About a month's worth. So, ladies and gentlemen, hope you joined us for the ride. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Total Extreme Wrestling. If you enjoyed it, leave a like on it and subscribe to see more. We'll be back with another one very soon.